All right, traders, this is Mike with the watch list video for Thursday, December 19th. Let me start by saying if life ever gets you down, just know that you're not the only one with problems. I had a terrible situation today. I'm going to throw this up here. We ordered online the Chipotle app, large chips and guac, and we actually ordered an extra large guac too, which isn't pictured, but that did come in the bag. And then 2 burrito bowls, right? We ordered the extra large guac because we were expecting a big bag of chips because it's called large chips and guac. You know how big a water bottle is, right? I don't know if you can tell how small this bag. They gave us 2 of these large guacs and this little bag. My wife counted 11 chips in there. I don't know, man. That almost just felt like an FU for some reason. But so anyway, if you think you got troubles, you're not alone. That was a terrible day for me. Anyway, ugly day in the SPY was FOMC day, and let me see. The Dow ended up down 1,123 points. The Nasdaq down 716 points. So a pretty ugly day. Let me throw this over here real quick. If you're new in the chat room, please pause the video and read that. It's a great explanation of what we're all about in the chat room. And then let me give some hat tips for some great calls in the chat today. The number one call has to go to Miguel, called QMCO over 28. And you can see what it did. I'll show you the 5-minute chart. Get the extended hours out of there so you can kind of see it better. So right here, it topped at 28.40 and then kind of did this little cup and handle, and his idea was back through 28 with the high of day just 40 cents above that. So it triggered somewhere in here. Worst case stop goes below the previous 5-minute candle. So it was a $1.10 risk, but you just control that risk with position size, and it didn't come close to stopping out. And as you can see, it went from 28, $36.20 higher to 64.20 on about a $1 risk. So amazing call by Miguel. It's not his first one. It won't be his last. Sahil made a great call on SKYT. Show you that one real quick. Called it at 17 and ended up going to 19. We'll look at the 5-minute chart here too. So there was the pop, the pullback, and his idea was right back here through 17. And it went to 19. So a $2 move and a nice call by Sahil. KULR, let me try to type that correctly this time. KULR was my blunder of the day because I called it in the 5's buy zone, right? And it's a mistake I don't often make because I'll tell you what I usually do, but I still want to kind of zoom in here. So it was really, really strong, and as it came back down here, I called it in the 5's buy zone, which, as you know, is pretty much the middle of the blue and the red line. So if you view the middle, it's probably right about where my cursor is, somewhere around 207, 208. I had a bid at 202. And I think it came down to, believe it or not, 203. Yeah. But when it was in the middle of the buy zone, even though knowing I had a bid at 202, I still should have grabbed some in case my bid wasn't going to fill. Because the middle of that buy zone is generally what I shoot for. I got a little too cute, and then it ended up making a huge move from there. So I'm a little annoyed at myself because usually I'll just grab some, and then if my lower bid gets filled, it just gives me a bigger position, right? But anyway, that was a nice move. From 208-ish, it went to 264. That's a big percentage move also. So there's a few highlights from today. And let me go into what we're watching for tomorrow. It's not a very big list because a lot of charts got ugly today. VRAR, great relative strength. I should have hung out in after hours and tried to trade this one too because it ended up going to 394 in after hours. But a big rip and a strong close. And just to look at this, there's the early high, or not the early high, there's the early high of day, but then it kind of did this cup and handle. And so there was the high of day right there. Actually, it might have gone out up here. The reason I'm showing you this is a lot of times when something closes that strong, especially relative to the market, it's worth watching in after hours. And I might have traded this, I might not have. You got this little flag, and then it took out the early high of day. The trade for me is usually you get a pullback in after hours, and then I'll take it if it gets back through the high of day, right? Which would have been right there, and it would have been a really nice trade. So, but I didn't hang out. I did get one quick trade in Micron and after hours. Talk about that in a minute. But anyway, this one goes on watch because it's great strength. KULR closing well off its highs, but we're going to look at that one real quick. Big pop, and you know, a lot of stocks have those topping tails because the market was so weak. So they could still be in play tomorrow, right? If things settle down. NUKK just got stupid today. And I doubt I'll trade it tomorrow. You know, it's gone from what? a dollar something to 67.77 in 2 sessions. So I'll have it on watch. I'd like to see about a 3 or 4 day pullback, right? QMCO, another one just went nuts and actually held up really well. So we're going to watch that one. Again, I'd like to see a big pullback in that over the next couple of days. UCL, another relative strength one. I want to watch Micron. They reported in after hours. This is MU. As I'm talking to you, it's trading at 88.52. So it's trading down here-ish, somewhere around there. Certainly worth, and it's got some support back here. So certainly worth watching for a maybe. Sometimes you get a gap down in a big name like that, and it just runs from the open. So let's watch it for a possible setup in that light. WKEY, another one that made a crazy 2-day move. Now we got a 2-day pullback on lower volume. I'd like one more day, but this one is definitely going to be interesting tomorrow for a possible bounce play. AVGO, also crazy strong stock. Micron might not have helped it either. Let me see where it's at in after hours at 221.60. So looks like it's probably going down a little bit in after hours. But anyway, such a huge move on great news. And now you got 2 days lower. I'm going to treat that as a potential bounce play if we get a setup. MRVL is another one, a really strong chip stock. And now you got a couple days down to the 20-day. That one could bounce tomorrow. ONDS had a really nice move and a couple ugly days. Came down to the 20-day, but did have a nice intraday bounce. I'm going to watch that for a bounce. And then BTDR is one of the Bitcoin plays out there that was really strong and coming back down in between the 8 and the 20 there. So possible bounce, especially if Bitcoin bounces. I'm done babbling. We'll see you guys in chat in the morning. Have a good night.